Today I'd like to show you how to replace the hardware covers on a all Ultrex Marvin Integrity casement. And I also want to show you how to replace the stationary sash and how to remove these sashes as well. Let's get started. Okay, first we're going to remove these hardware covers by using a stiffened, sharpened putty knife. And there's actually a seam right here in here that we're going to get this putty knife in here. So sometimes if you can't get this knife in this seam, you can kind of pull on these a little bit to give that little gap in there to come off, for these to come off. Just like that. And we can go ahead and remove this just by pulling it up. We use the kerf and barb system where this is a friction fit into there. So we'll go ahead and remove that. So at the top, same thing, you can put the putty knife in here, in this groove right here to get it started. Or sometimes you can just pull on it a little bit and use this to assist it down, just like that. Now we can go ahead and remove the side. And we can pull that off. Do the same thing for this side. Constant steady pressure, just like that. Now to remove this stationary sash, we just remove all these screws from these brackets all the way around, and then this sash will come right out. There are a couple of different ways to give us the information we need on this window. One is this serial number. If you write down this serial number, we can put this in a computer and look that number up. And there's a different way. Okay, the other way is to go ahead and remove this window, and it's ready to come out. Obviously, I took out the last screw. It goes up from the outside. We take it, and we can pull it in. And somewhere around the perimeter here, right here on the top, is the information. This gives us the order information, the size of the window, and the color of the window. So you can give us all this information as well, and we can order a replacement sash or any of the parts for this window. When replacing this sash, it's going to come with some new set blocks, and these are usually in a plastic bag taped to the glass. You need to make sure that these are evenly spaced at the top, down there, and at the bottom as well. In all three sides. You do not have to do the top. Okay, so now that we have our new sash, of course we're pretending here, and our set blocks are on here, we're going to go ahead and reinstall this by just lifting it up. Set the bottom first. Make sure we're sitting there nice and tight. Pull it in. Make sure that the serial number is always in the upper right-hand corner from the inside looking out. And then we'll go ahead and get our screws started. There we go. And we'll hold on to this. And of course, if you get something that's a little larger, you may want to have someone on the outside holding it in or to help you, assist you put it in. This is pretty manageable by one person. But once you get those two screws started, we'll go ahead and get the rest in, and I'll show you how to put those covers on. Okay, we're putting in our remaining two screws. Okay, and let's get those hardware covers on. Okay, so we go ahead, we just fit those on there like that, and just push them on, and just work your way all the way up. That's simple. Okay, we got our new cover on this side. Just squeeze them together. Okay, we put our top one. Our top one has the screw for the screen. Even though this is a stationary, they still use the same piece. Yeah, you don't accidentally want to put the bottom one on there. So we'll go ahead and get this up in there, just like that. I'll have to start at one end. Sometimes these, especially the smaller they get, you're going to have to kind of put a little bow here in the center, but just push them on down. just like that. Well, that was simple enough. Now let me show you how to do it on an operable window. So we'll go ahead and start by unlocking the window. And obviously, hopefully you have your crank with you. We'll crank the window open. Okay, we'll go ahead and detach this bottom arm here just by pulling down like that. If you ever have one of these that keeps coming disconnected from here, sometimes I like to do just bend this back up. And also make sure that if you ever remove this sash, not to lose this little shoe. This shoe fits on that, and if you don't see this in here and it feels really sloppy, yeah, you need to make sure that's in there. So we'll go ahead and put that back in there so we don't lose it. And then there's also this little arm here that snaps off. You can use a screwdriver or my #1 tool, and I'm just going to pop that off just like that. There's a little snap ring. I'm going to go ahead and move this out of the way. And now I can remove the sash by moving these clips, and let me show you. Okay, so first we'll remove the bottom by moving this up. That'll snap off. And then we can go ahead and remove this little piece like this. We'll go ahead and remove this. This is so the windows, some of the windows meet egress, so it doesn't allow the window to open all the way. And then that way the measurement allows for it to meet egress. So we need to make sure we put this back in when we're done. Now we'll go ahead and remove the top one. Okay, we'll go ahead, same thing, this pops right off. And then now we can take this window out by sliding it this way. Make sure we hold on to it tight. And take it right on out. Okay, so to find the information on this window, same thing, you can look in the upper right-hand corner, or you can find the tag here that's on the top. Now, sometimes this tag will be underneath the hinge, so you'll have to remove the hinge and get this information to us, but that's how you look for the information on this one. And when we go ahead and remove or put this sash back in, we're going to make sure that this little hook here lines up with this hook under here. So it actually tucks in here like this. So we'll get that back in there. So now we're pretending that we replaced the sash, or even if you just wanted to take it out for any reason whatsoever. So we'll go ahead and reverse the process. I always like to start at the top, get that out there. I kind of lift up on the sash a little bit to get that started. And then we can go ahead and push that arm in. Sometimes that arm doesn't always go on that easily. Sometimes we have to take a butt end of a hammer and pound it on there, but it'll snap on there. Now let's hook up the bottom. Okay, so when putting this in, we make sure the hook is like this. We make sure it's hooked behind there like that, and you'll know if you got it hooked by pressing on it this way. And then we'll go ahead and put this little clip on here with this little stop, and then we'll go ahead and slide it like this and pop that on there just like that. Go ahead and move our roto gear. That snaps on there like that. And then we'll go ahead and keep going. Oop, I lost that shoe. Let me go find that shoe. Okay, I found the little shoe. This little thing, it goes in there like that. So I'll go ahead and slide that in. Slide that down and we'll go ahead. Sometimes this can be a little tricky. Not really, but you understand. And that pops on there just like that. Okay, just like new. Now, one thing I do want to point out to you, never remove these parts, even on the keeper. There is a piece of aluminum, a reinforcement block, I should say, behind these screws. So if you remove any of these brackets and then you take this sash and you lift it up, those support blocks in there could slide down to one end, and then the screw is going to go into nothing. So make sure that you always leave this on. Or if you have to replace something like this, maybe remove these two screws, leave one screw in, move this down, put a screw, keep it from sliding or falling is what I'm basically telling you. So I wanted to point that out to you just to be very mindful of that. So these covers remove the same way pretty much as the stationary ones. Sometimes we can just pull up on it a little bit and help assist this up. And then with the window open, you could actually take this behind here like this and just pry it down. Now we can go ahead and remove this side, just like that, and that'll also expose the lock base and the tie bar. Yeah, so we can get started on this side. Same thing, you can grab it from the back side, or you can just take a putty knife like that. Just pull that off. So if you're curious at all on how this operates, basically you just crank the window shut, and when you lock it, it just moves this lock base and allows this to go up. Now, there's a few things you can do to make this operate a little better. One is to spray a little lubricant in these little areas here. Also, spray a little lubricant on that little black thing, because that spins, and as you move the lock, that little thing in there spins. And I also like to show you this. I'm glad that this happened here so I can show you. When they set this at the factory, because these are riveted on, this helps keep everything lined up, and then when you lock it, these little tabs break off. Every once in a while, I get one of these that either falls or causes a problem in how this operates. So don't be afraid to remove it if you need to. I actually had to go get the pliers for this one. Just like that, we'll go ahead and remove that. If you see any more that may be in the way, don't be afraid to take that off. That's not going to impede the operation at all, as you can see. See, and this one actually is fine. So that's how it typically looks. Nothing in the way and everything's good. And before I forget to tell you also, if you ever have to replace one of these lock bases or these tie bars, these are actually riveted on. And typically when you order a new piece from Marvin, they're going to give you the rivets. Because I don't know if you remember, if I told you on the parts on the window that there's a support backer behind there, there is not here. So these are actually riveted on there. You do not screw those on. So be prepared if you have to replace one to drill that head of that with a big drill bit. That'll fall off. Put the new ones on, put your new rivet in there, and use your rivet tool to rivet that on there. We have our new covers. We're going to go ahead and pop those on there. Okay, the same thing for this side. Just pops right on. Okay, we'll go ahead and put our top cover back on. Okay, the bottom covers are the only ones that are a two-piece cover. So you do need to make sure that these two pieces line up like that. And these are two different part numbers. So if you order a new cover, you need to make sure you order the top and or the bottom cover. I don't remember if that's the technical term for that. But same thing as some of the sides, sometimes we'll have to put a little bow in here to get that started. Just like that. Well, there you have it. I hope this video helped you out on how to replace the hardware covers and how to remove the sashes on an all Ultrex Integrity Casement. And if this video helped you out, please help me out by hitting the subscribe button at the bottom, and that helps me out. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.